Thanks, guys. I'm Becky. When I was doing singing telegrams, I'll just say also was a California raisin. You know, it was like the late 80s. And then I walked by one guy on my way to give the telegram, this older guy, and he goes to his friend, "Why doesn't my wife ever dress like that?" I was like a dried piece of fruit with novelty sunglasses on? Because generally it's not considered cool. Very weird. But that's not my story for tonight. My story is about, sometimes when you're together with somebody, you're dating them, and you lend them money because, of course, you want to help them and such and such. So I was dating a guy named Craig, and this was when I was living in Vancouver. And so we were dating. I lent him $150 because he really needed it when he was just starting a new job, and he needed to get construction boots and stuff for the job, and he said he'd pay me back. And then shortly after that, we broke up. And I was a waitress at the time, so it's not, an insubstantial amount for me, $150. And I was like, oh, God, I got to get this back. So I kept calling him, and I would only ever get his machine or his roommate. And I was like, oh, my God. So finally, I'd put so much effort into it that I thought, you know what, it's probably better just to let this go and relax about it and try and get extra shifts at work and just not put myself through this process anymore. When I was working at the restaurant, and he came in with a huge big group of people and paid for their entire tab on his Interac. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And he wasn't in my section, so I didn't even get the tip. So I walked over and I was like, hey, Craig. And he was like, oh, hi. And I said, I've been trying to get a hold of you. And he said, yeah, I didn't get the messages. So I said, well, I wonder if we could talk about the money that you owe me. And he said, now's not a good time for me. And I said, well, we could go in my car right now, and I could drive to an ATM, and we could get it, and then it'd be done. And he said, well, I can get it for you Friday. And I said, okay, you'll give me a call Friday? And he said, absolutely, I'll give you a call Friday. Sorry for the wait. And I said, that's fine. Thank you. So Friday came and went. And then the following week, I was like, clearly, I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands. So I got into my car, and I went to the construction place that I knew he worked, like the head office. And I was like, I would like to see Craig, please. And they said, oh, he's not here. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to have to give this whole thing up. And as I turned away, he said, but if you drive up Granville, and when you come to the water, there's 2 Northwest construction sites there. He's at the one on the right. And I was like, thank you. So I drove up. I went right. I went into the construction site. I walked along the seawall, and I saw Greg up on the scaffold, or Craig, up on the scaffolding, doing some work. And I was like, hey, Craig, is now a good time to talk about the money that you owe me? And he was like, huh? What? Huh? It's like pretending that he couldn't hear me. So I was like, okay. So I went to my car, and I got the cardboard sign that I had pre-made in lipstick that said, Craig owes Becky money. And I affixed it to the fence, the safety fence by the seawall. Then I went back to my car, and I got my pot and my wooden spoon, because he was having a hard time hearing me. So I started walking back and forth on the seawall, very near his scaffolding, going, Craig owes me money, lots and lots of money. Craig owes me money, lots and lots of money. And he was still studiously pretending that I was not there. So I thought, well, maybe he would prefer something more tuneful. So I was like, I met you back in April. I thought you were real neat. It took me until now to realize you're a deadbeat. Oh, I just want my money back. Give me my money back. And he was still doing his work, but I had attracted a bit of a crowd of the other workers. And the foreman, very nice man, came forward and said, "Hello, miss." And I said, "Hi." And he said, "I can see that there is a problem here between you two, but because it's between you and Craig, I wonder if it would be better for you to do this at his home." And I said, "I really appreciate your input, but I feel like I'm being pretty effective right now." And he said, "Well, we really can't have this at one of Northwest construction sites, so I'm going to have to call the police." And I was like, "Well, you have to follow your heart, as do I. So you go and do what you need to do, and I will do what I need to do." So he went back into the office, and the other crowd dispersed. And at that moment, Craig descends, and he wrestled the sign off of the fence and threw it into the sea. And he wrestled the pot and the spoon from me, and he threw them into the sea. And he said, "Listen, you fat bitch." And I said, "Hey, Craig." And he said, "You are not bothering me at all. You're not making me mad. You're just making a fool of yourself." And I said, "I don't know. I don't feel foolish." "And you're looking pretty agitated. Your eyes are flashing fire." And he said, "I said I will get you your money Friday." And I said, "It is fucking Friday, Greg." And he said, "Next fucking Friday." So I said, "Fine." And because I had nothing to pack in my car since everything I'd brought was in the sea, I just drove myself out of there. And so the next Friday, lo and behold, my phone rang. And I answered it, and it was Craig. I knew that because I said hello, and he said, "Hello, cunt." I was like, "Hey, Craig." And he said, "I have your money for you." And I was like, "Great. That's all I want." And so we agreed to meet in the parking lot of my the restaurant that I worked at, like just before I had to go on shift. So I met him there. He actually showed up, and he was about to hand me the money. And he was like, "Here's your money." And I went out to grab for it, and then he pulled it back. And he said, "But if I give you this money back, you never get to call or see me ever again in your life." And I was like, "Is it Friday, Craig? Is it bargain fucking Friday? Because how did I get such a good deal?" Thanks very much.